Giant insects bursting out of the ground and spitting acid. The Ankheg. So today we're going to be talking about how to use the Ankheg in encounters to make it interesting, but also looking at the stat block. Your lore is your lore. We're not digging into the lore of the Ankheg. We're looking at how to use this giant insect creature and make it fun. And as also how not to have it be wiped out by your party or how not have it to one-shot your party. Either way, let's jump right on into how to use the Ankheg in combat. So today I'm cheating. I've got my handy-dandy laptop sitting right here next to me, and we're going to be looking at the stat block first. So first of all, here's the stat block. The Ankheg, 14 natural armor class, 11 while prone. That's an interesting fact, because it can be knocked prone. Hit points, 39, speed, 30. Burrow is only 10 feet. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have a 30-foot burrow speed, which is important. Now, strength 17, big strength, dex 11, con 13, int 1, wisdom 13, charisma 6. But you'll notice something. In here, there is no passive condition immunities. It can be frightened, it can be charmed, it can be fooled, which means illusion magic works. This is the thing about the Ankheg that we forget. It doesn't have a high intelligence, and magic absolutely would work on this. All too often in our games, our wizards and sorcerers and bards don't take illusion magic because it's so DM exclusive. If you allow your players to be creative with their illusion magic or things that affect the intellect of a creature, meaning I can create a static thing that doesn't move, that looks like a creature, it's going to have to roll an intelligence check to see if it doesn't recognize that. It's got an intelligence of 1. Chances are, even if I just put a solid image, it will attack it. And even after it attacks it, it may attack it again. It may not realize that it didn't actually hit or do damage. Those are things to keep in mind with the Ankheg, is while its physical stats are great, its mental stats are not. And your players can absolutely use that to their advantage, especially if the Ankheg has been terrorizing a village and they figured out something about the Ankheg. Remember, an Ankheg isn't unknown. It's not some mystical creature. It's a CR2 creature, which means your characters probably know something about it. It's probably in the regular myths and lore and legends of the local area. Now, the Ankheg has some really cool features about it, which we're going to get to. But first, if you like this content, like, subscribe, do that kind of thing.
Hey, make sure you subscribe, like this video, do all
Listen
those
to
things.
that guy. But
Catch you
overall,
later.
help us grow this channel or come to our Patreon. Now, stick around to the end of this and actually get a look into a new fire monster that we have at our new product that's going to be launched, which you can have for free just by watching this. Just watch it. Stick around. We'll put the stat block up. So the Ankheg, though, is one of my favorite creatures because of that burrowing factor and the fact that it can weigh in late. It's an ambush predator, and it would do just as such. Here's the thing. You don't need to decide where it's going to burst from the ground unless your party has tremor sense. It can burrow at 10 foot per round, but that doesn't mean it's not already where it needs to be. It's already planned where your players are going to be. It knows where people are going to walk, and unless they specifically avoid it or try to lure it somewhere else or be creative, it's going to get them. Now, if your players are being very creative to figure out a way to lure the Ankheg somewhere else, because this thing does have tremor sense of 60 feet, maybe they find a way to put a goat somewhere and throw it down there, and they're readying an action for that Ankheg to burst out of the ground and grab the goat. That's being creative, and I want to reward that. The Ankheg is one of those creatures that can be a surprise to the party because it can just burst out of the ground, or the players can think creatively because they're low level and they don't want to get murdered by an Ankheg, but they've been hired to go take care of this thing that's eating the cattle of a local rancher. It's a great low-level monster that allows some mechanics to come into play that you can telegraph to the players or keep hidden from the players. Either way, it's a great creature for either of those scenarios. It can burrow at 10 feet per round, which means it can go a long way in one day. And so maybe it spends the majority of its time burrowing along. Now, I do want to read something from this stat block, though, which you can see right over here. Acid spray, recharge 6. The Ankheg spits acid in a line that's 30 feet long and 5 feet wide. Providing that it has no creature grappled, this creature that's in line must make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw, taking 10 acid damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. That's in a line. So imagine a group that's been led down a ravine that is maybe 5 to 10 feet wide. How is the party lined up? Are they following side by side? Can this Ankheg get a straight line and hit them? And would it set that up? Its intelligence may be low, but it understands its own abilities. It knows how to hunt. And so those are the things to remember, that it knows what it's going to do. It knows that it can hit things in a row. It knows what adventurers probably are as far as creatures that can be eaten or creatures that are there. It may not know what adventurers are, but it knows what metal is. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's never seen an adventurer before, doesn't know, hasn't been taught, hasn't seen someone else die. I don't know. Creatures are interesting. Monsters are interesting. Animals are interesting, depending on how they're raised and what they're around. Maybe it's found that adventurers are nice and tasty food, and so it's learned how to kill them. That could be as well. Now, there's something else that's in here, though. It's its bite, because the bite is a weapon melee attack with only a reach of 5, one target. So even though this is a large creature, its bite only has a reach of 5, which I like. So hit only does 9 points of slashing damage, but it does 3 points of acid damage on hit, which is cool. If the target is a large or smaller creature, it is grappled. Escape DC is 13. Until the grapple ends, the Ankheg can bite only the grappled creature and has advantage on attack rolls to do so. It's going to try to grapple a creature and start burrowing away, putting the creature in front of it as it goes backwards, and it's biting that creature. That's probably what it's going to do. That's what I would have it do. Now, could it do other things? Absolutely. Remember, this is not an intelligent creature, and if your party sets this up right, maybe they use the lack of intelligence and the fact that they know it's going to do this. Maybe they encountered it before, and it's done this before, and the party escaped barely with their life as they broke free, and then it sprayed acid on them and burrowed away, and they couldn't really chase it down. There's lots of ways that a burrowing creature can become an interesting encounter. Now, imagine there's two. One comes up and attacks the party from the front, and one comes up and attacks the party from behind. Now we have something that's interesting. A fight is truly on. Maybe they tried to grab the party and tear them down. Maybe the party's actually protecting a caravan, and it gets two of the cattle, or gets the horse pulling the wagon. Does the party stay and protect it, or they go try to haul the wagon out? What happens at that point? The Ankheg isn't so much the problem as getting the wagon to safety, because that's the money and that's what the players are being paid to get and do. So keep that in mind. And as always, guys, thank you very much. That's it. That's how a fun way to use the Ankheg. Remember, we're not talking about lore. The lore belongs to you. Make it your own, or play a Forgotten Realms campaign where everyone has the same lore. That's up to you. But stick around. Right at the very end here, we'll show you a brand new fire incursion monster. We'll roll it across the screen so you can see something from our new book. As always, thank you. Like, subscribe, channel. If you want more of our original content, find us on Patreon. You'll see a ton of stuff coming up. We've just launched it. And as always, we will see you when? We will see you next time.